All right, this next keyboard shortcut is extremely useful. There are probably more uses for the shift button than I'm going to go over right now, but I'm going to go over, I don't know, maybe three or four. So if I have an object like a square, I can, when I click it, you'll see these little blue squares around the perimeter show up. Um, Basically, you can either stretch, the square to make it a rectangle, either vertically or horizontally. But one thing that you can do here is you can expand both vertically and horizontally. Notice that right now I'm just kind of expanding free form. If I want to expand the square, make it larger, but keep it a perfect square, I'm going to hold the shift button. And when I hold the shift button, it's going to keep the proportions of the shape the same. This will work for any other shape that you can make in Google Drawing. So I can expand equally. I can hold shift and shrink it equally to be very small. Another use for the shift button is notice that here I can move this in any direction on the canvas. But let's say I want to slide it over horizontally or vertically perfectly from where it began. So if I click and hold shift down, and now even if my cursor goes up or down, it's still going to move exactly left and right or up and down, no matter even if my cursor is not directly on the shape. So that gives you a little bit more control when you're sliding your objects around. The last thing is you can, oh, and sorry, not the last thing. You'll notice that every shape you make will have a little circle and connected to your shape. When you click on it, you can rotate pretty freely, but if you hold on shift, it will go in 15-degree increments, which is kind of nice. The last thing, I'm going to duplicate this square. So let's say that I have these squares and this pattern that I want, and I want to select all of them at the same time. Two ways you can do this. You can select everything, right? But that might not always be a good thing because let's say I have them all on top of a larger square like this. So I want to select, I'm going to move this down. So I want to select these four squares, but if I do this, right, it's going to select everything, including the large square. What I can do is I can deselect the large square by holding down shift and clicking it, and now it will deselect the big one and only keep the four. Or alternatively, I could hold shift and click on each of the smaller ones, and now I can move them as a group. So that covers everything about holding shift. Again, there are many other effects that you can do with holding shift, but these are some of the main ones that you need to know about.